part of what I love about filming is getting to know the crew and having a bond with the crew. It's, getting to sit together, eat together, talk, sometimes like we'd go around and go like, all right, show me your face. And then, all the crew would just like drop their mask and go like, and we'd be like, whoa, Henry, you have a mustache? What the fuck?
Oh, I remember that. Henry's mustache. Everybody over.
Yeah.
Everybody over.
But yeah. So it's like, you have to be creative.
Thanks for joining us, the cast of Emily the Criminal at Variety's virtual Sundance studio presented by Audible. John, hoping to start with you, if you could tell us a little bit about what this movie is about.
Without giving away too much, I'd say it's about a young woman who becomes a criminal to pay off her student loans. And she discovers that she enjoys doing it. And I'd say it's a thriller, but it's also kind of a coming of age story about someone realizing who they are.
Aubrey, starting with you, could you just tell us a little bit about your character, and then can we just go around to the rest of the cast?
I play Emily Bonetto, and I play a young woman originally from New Jersey. And I followed my friend out to the West Coast to Los Angeles. My friend Liz, played by Megalyn. I'm a kind of aspiring artist, but I have a criminal record. And so I find that it's really hard to get a job. And I'm kind of down on my luck. And I get kind of drawn into the world of petty crimes, credit card scams. And then I get kind of in over my head. And of course I meet Yusuf, who is part of this scam operation, played by Theo, and I form a connection with him, and then I got real wrapped up in him and that world, and then things kind of just take off from there.
Theo, if you want to go say a little bit more about your character, if you can.
Yeah, Yusuf is like many people who are in the partaking in the criminal world, he's quite an ambiguous figure, because he it's a means to an end, but it might not seem like that, his presence and his kind of stature. But as we start to learn and reveal more about him, which Emily brings out, more of his humanity, more of the kind of person that he is, that's kind of everyone in the film. John does such an incredible revealing of human beings throughout this. So Yusuf is someone who you think you know, but you don't.
Megalyn, do you want to talk a little bit about your character?
Liz and Emily are from Jersey. They went to school together. I think that Liz has sort of, they've sort of moved into adulthood together and they're best friends. But I think that Liz has sort of, gone on and sort of thrived and is thriving professionally. And Emily is sort of stunted for whatever reason, and even though they're best friends, I think they have like this really sort of complicated friend dynamic, and it's almost as if like Liz is where Emily is from Emily's past and where she was, and Yusuf sort of represents where she's going, and she's sort of between these two worlds, and they kind of both are like holding up a mirror to her.
Aubrey, how do you make audiences sympathetic to a character who has, like you mentioned, a minor criminal past, but then is also getting deeper and deeper into these criminal exploits that she's finding herself really taken with?
And I think there's a real kind of story about just the time that we're living in, and kind of the generation of people that are left with this kind of economy, this system that is really hard to navigate. And Emily finds herself in a position where it's like she just can't get a break, and she kind of decides she's got to make up the rules herself.
John, it sounds like her motivations stem from having to pay off student loan debt and interest on top of that. And that's a very topical thing a lot of people are dealing with, especially during the pandemic. Did you feel like it was an especially timely moment to be telling a story like this?
Although, to be clear, I wasn't just trying to make something in the zeitgeist. It wasn't impersonal. It really came from how I felt and what my experience was. And yet I also identified that my experience wasn't unique. It was part of a larger pattern that is going on, has been going on. So I wanted this movie to be an avenue through which people could kind of get some frustrations out and explore a dialogue that they don't usually get to have. I mean, why do we do this to young people? It is just so bonkers. Anyway, the movie doesn't dwell on student loans that much. It just kind of uses them to make the story take off. So I've spoken too much about them. They're in there, but that's not really the movie. Why do we do this to young people? It is just so bonkers. Anyway, the movie doesn't dwell on student loans that much. It just kind of uses them to make the story take off. So I've spoken too much about them. They're in there, but that's not really the movie.
And just one more bonkers thing about student loans, since we're getting off it, is it also continues generationally. If you die, it goes to your next of kin. It's the only loan that exists.
The only
that
one.
Happens.
Bankruptcy does not work on students. Trust me, Florida, damn near moved to like China.
Let's just get that out. Let's just get that passed. Okay, we're done with that.
Because you're dealing with the federal government.
Yeah, but John and I won't say it anymore.
Yeah. It's enough to make you want to commit crimes to take care of it. Let's put it that way.
Ooh, amen.
Are you guys all pros at getting nasal swabs for COVID tests now?
But I try to look at the positives of it. I mean, there's so many positives that come out. I mean, I'm an isolationist by nature, especially when I'm working. So I try to look at the positives of it. The positives of that, you could really, it's what I found in all the projects, especially this one, is that the focus and the getting to spend time together in the prep was definitely terrific for the process.
John, just as the director, anything you wanted to add about making a movie during COVID?
Casting was hard. Usually with casting, you want to be in the room. I mean, I never met Theo until 3 days before we started shooting the movie. This is the co-lead in the movie, the romantic interest. Never met him. So there was a lot of like just going with God and like praying. It's just like, please, I hope this is going against every fiber of my intuition. So I hope this works.